So Batman is currently stranded in space in an entirely different galaxy. Why? Because he wants to be the best Batman he can to protect Gotham. And he cannot do that without fully exploring every avenue and bettering himself, even if that means conquering new alien landscapes. Now, my name is AJ, here at the Hero Informer, and let's get into it. So as we move over and pick up, we see Batman being put on basically janitor duty, forced to clean up the warship. And if you didn't see the last part, Batman is currently in the Slag galaxy as he was captured by a group of aliens called the Warstormers, who basically go around capturing anyone they can and forcing them to join their ranks. And as Batman was captured and did join them against his will, he was deemed too weak to join their mercenary team, so he was kept alive for one purpose. You see, as Batman is doing a very Batman thing, breaking space rock and debris with his bare fist. Well, I guess not technically bare, he is using his gloves, but still, instead of using tools, he's just using his fist, like. And you might even be thinking to yourself, wait, Batman got the good end of the stick. Instead of risking your life being a mercenary, you can just be safe and sound doing cleanup duty on the ship. Well, no. The Storm Chasers, and specifically their captain, are cruel and evil people. You see, they value strength above all else, and don't really care about your life if you were deemed unfit and weak. So the captain doesn't even bother powering down their engines and ship during this cleaning process, meaning while they are there cleaning, they also have chances of being burned alive in these very unsafe working conditions, with Batman even pointing out, saying, here in the Slag galaxy, the war doesn't stop for anyone. As we see a bunch of alien members try to escape to get away from the blast radius and heat, but as they are climbing up a ladder, one slips, and as he is falling to a certain death and doom, Batman is the only one to turn and save his life, grabbing onto him instead of letting him fall into the lava. With him going on to say, it is said that only the strongest and cruelest survive even one trip here inside the storm stacks. No one in living memory has even survived 2, but this is my 5th. Just showing that even though he was deemed unfit to be a mercenary or deemed weak, Batman is still a cut above the rest in almost every category, allowing him to survive 5 trips, which before this was completely unthinkable. And as Batman comes walking back, successfully and safely saving 2 individual people who would have died otherwise without his help, he is met by the warden or overseer of this little cleanup job. And as expected from the Warstormers and their cruel ways, he is not happy that Batman went out of his way to save people, going on to say, are you stupid? What do you think you're doing? With Batman replying, saying, I was doing what I was told to, cleaning the storm stacks. But see, that's not the issue the guy has. As he then responds, you did it wrong. No one died. This is why you're not a Warstormer. I swear, I have never seen anyone more terrible at killing than you. Here, let me show you how easy it is. As he then grabs one of the creatures Batman saved, bolstering him up with his 4 arms, ready to throw him back overboard, killing him. And with this, Batman snaps and gets into battle stance, getting ready to try and defend this creature the best he can. With Batman going on to think, this alien life form, a Branx, native to the Vega system, their skin is as hard as stone. More power in one of their 4 arms than I possess in my entire body. But I have trained for this. You see, ever since Batman has been captured, he has scavenged and reprogrammed a punch bot to train him to seek out weak points in every single alien species there. As of course, Batman is never going to go in a situation unprepared if he can help it. As we cut over to a flashback, seeing Batman during one of his training sessions. But of course, these robots were made for the Storm Chasers to train to kill with. So with Batman having a hard stuck no kill rule, when he attacks it, it tells him he is not punching hard enough to sufficiently land a killing blow. And with Batman replying to the robot, saying, I'm not trying to kill. I incapacitate if I must, but never kill. And then we see someone enter the room who was eavesdropping on them. The same Tamaranian from last time who initially helped them, who now even has a name. Her name is Ion. And with Batman asking, what is she doing here? She says, do you really think you're the only one who sneaks out? As she then comes and watches him train, and even starts to give him tips, as Ion here is a seasoned and experienced combatant. Plus, with her physicals as a Tamaranian, she is no light threat, with her explaining how to take down a Branx. So you go for under their jaw where their teeth and tusk are. That is their weak point. And as she starts to explain to Batman how she even knows this, Batman then takes a guess, saying, you teach me how to fight and I help you escape. She says sure and gets in sparring position, with Batman even asking the punch bot, how do I defeat a Tamaranian? But before he's able to give him any tips, she punches him back and engages in a little hand-to-hand combat. Which, side note for a second, I wonder why she isn't able to use her natural abilities as a Tamaranian. Maybe the storm chasers are limiting her somehow with some type of collar or chip for her not to be able to fly, use her star bolts or energy blast or something of that sort. And as they start to tussle, you really get the feeling that Batman is out of his element here. As you know, Batman is famously known for mastering all forms of combat on Earth. But that's just a problem. They are not on Earth. They are in space, meaning he has mastered the combat knowledge of one species versus someone like Ion, who's experienced fighting in space with many different alien species. She can pick up and may know way more forms of martial arts. And after their little scrapple and Batman's defeat, she then tries to be nice and hand him a drink. But Batman says he doesn't drink, and neither would I on this random alien spaceship. What if whatever he drinks isn't compatible with his human body and just straight up kills him on the spot? Like, why would he take that risk? But of course, with this surprising Ion, she says, don't drink, don't kill. Heck, maybe next time you'll tell me you don't even use guns. Which is kind of funny, as Batman literally just stays quiet, as if there's anything as important or next to his no kill rule, it's his rule against using guns. But anyways, moving over, we pick back up during the present time when Batman is still fighting the Branax, going specifically for under his jaw, breaking its tusk, as Batman has studied enough to know the weak points of most of the alien species here. And now, after taking down that one guy, all of the guards line up ready to jump Batman, with one of them saying, "Who is this guy?" His reputation precedes him, as all of the other captured survivors start saying Batman. He is the Batman. But of course, out in space, that name doesn't exactly hold the reputation that it would on Earth. So the guards rush forward in an attempt to jump him. And we see Batman fighting his heart out for absolute survival, with him even going on to say, "I kidney punch a Gordarian in his upper thigh, elbow dropped a Thargar's tail. I even bury my foot underneath a Flaxian's arm," and he goes down just like he has been stomped in the testes of all places, which for that alien species, he has been. And for a moment, just a moment, Batman feels like he's back in an alleyway, surrounded by crackling clowns or coked out goons. He feels the aliens withering before his fist, feeling their fear growing. For a moment, it's almost like he is home again, almost like he is back in Gotham, doing what he does best. But only for a moment. As we cut over to some time later, as we see Batman eventually lost the fight, as there is just too many enemies of too high of a caliber, and eventually they were able to capture and restrain him, as we see him sitting in a cell. But of course, he is not alone, because guess who else is there? None other than Ion, also captured and restrained in a cell, with her even revealing it took 36 Stormers to bring Batman down, which is impressive for just a normal human, but of course she has to one-up him, with her saying it took 36 to bring her in. And why is she even here? Well, it turns out she may have snuck and stolen one too many bottles of rum, and eventually they caught her. But she even congratulates Batman, saying, "For what it's worth, you did good. You did what no one has ever done before. You saved a lot of lives." But okay, they're in the cell. How long is their sentence? Well, unfortunately for them, it's straight up death. As the captain has seen that the cells have gotten too crowded with inmates, so Captain Cyan's plan is to thin the herd. Tomorrow, they are planned to be executed by spacewalking, throwing them out into the vacuum of space without suits. She even feels bad for Batman, saying sorry you will never make it back to whatever planet you left behind. And of course, with them being planned to be executed tomorrow, and these being her last moments here, she decides to open up a little bit, giving a little bit about her backstory and trauma dumping on Batman, saying, "I fell in love once too. Her homeworld Tamaran was a paradise. The air smelled like perfume, skies were shimmered with a golden glow. People all around were just drop dead gorgeous, and everyone was nice and a hugger. Because with her personality, she couldn't wait to get away from it all. So she became a storm chaser at the first drop of a hat, going from galaxy to galaxy, hunting down and kidnapping war recruits." But here's where things get really interesting. One day, she picked up a runaway stormer like she has done hundreds of times before, but it was a long flight back. And on the flight, she explained that the runaway wouldn't shut his mouth up. And he kept talking so much that eventually he talked her into catching feelings and she fell for him. But if there was only one thing she knew how to do, was her job. So even though she started to feel for him, she still dropped him off and got paid. And she figured the feelings would just go away, but they never did. Flying through the endless darkness, she realized how lonesome and quiet it got. So eventually she went back for him, planning to break him out and free him, even though what she was doing would turn her into a fugitive. But as she arrived back, she found out as soon as she dropped him off, he was killed. And ever since then, she has changed her ways. So instead of going out and tracking people down to kidnap them and force them into being a storm chaser, she tried to help people escape. And she was successful at it until one day Captain Cyan caught up with her and imprisoned her once more. And what is the point of her explaining the story to Batman, you may ask? Well, she then goes on to say, love will always get you killed. So forget about the love of your past homeworld and focus on the here and now. And with Batman hearing how she even changed her ways and started to do good, he then starts to talk back, saying it won't be love that gets me killed, and it for sure won't be today. As you remember, when he uppercutted the alien and broke his tusk, he kept it, hiding it under his gauntlet, using it as some sort of key to pick the lock and get free from his restraints. As of course, Batman being resourceful as ever. And as we move over and see Batman and Ion free and unlocked, a giant battle ensues, with all of the War Stormers present attacking them as Batman and Ion plan their escape. And as they are continuing the fight, Ion then says, "These War Stormers will live and be fine, but we won't if we cannot shut down the storm that surrounds the ship and escape." But of course, Batman always has a plan and says it's been taken care of. As you remember the punch bot Batman had? Well, of course, Batman being a tech genius was able to reprogram the bot to help him, as the punch bot was able to sneak his way on the main bridge, shutting down the stellar storm that surrounds the ship, allowing them to escape. But unfortunately, before the bot can escape, he gets shot through his metal chest. And as Batman is trying to communicate with him, telling him to come in, he then realizes something is wrong. But of course, they almost have no time to worry about this, as the shields that will allow them to escape are down, will not stay down for long. But as Batman is standing there, he is thinking how he has journeyed far from home, and he will do whatever it takes to fight his way back, except lose himself along the way, as Batman charges in, going to try his best to save the robot. Because if there's one thing about Batman that never fails, is his selflessness, meaning he will fight all odds to save even the least among them, even if it cost him his very life. And as Batman is running back, suddenly he is stopped dead in his tracks, as we see Captain Cyan finally arrive, with Batman realizing this is the time. As if you remember their fight before, Captain Cyan absolutely demolished Batman, but this time, after having a little training arc, he thinks to himself that this alien, which is an Ikarian, native to the Slag Galaxy, and how he is trained for this. He has gambled everything. He has bled and suffered. It has to be enough. It has to. As Batman gives it his absolute all, attacking all of the weak points he has trained with the bot, doing his best to finally put the captain down. But Batman soon finds out it isn't enough. Just going to show you, even Batman falls victim to the thought process of sometimes even if you give it your all, your best just isn't good enough sometimes. As the captain gets a hold of Batman, slamming him on the ground, before something absolutely devastating happens here. He opens one of the space chutes, throwing him out into the vacuum of space. Yes, you heard me right, Batman floating through the endless void of space. No spacesuit, no protective oxygen, nothing. This is almost certain death for the protector of Gotham, with him going on to think in his final moments, falling through space unprotected. No air left in my lungs. Only seconds before I pass out, then suffocate and freeze. It is like I am a child again, terror-stricken, stumbling through darkness, falling further and further from home. Gotham, I have failed you. But at least I was able to let the other prisoners escape. Ion the Tamaranian escaped. Tried to focus on those I saved and hope it makes a difference. As we see Batman float through space, finally succumbing to his apparent fate. But just then, out of nowhere, we see another escape pod launch and rocket off. And who has caused this, you may ask? Well, it was none other than Punchbot, as he somehow survived and was able to hack into the systems in a last-ditch effort to send help to Batman. But then we cut back over to Batman as he still floats into space, saying it turns out it makes a difference. All of it, every life and every last punch. As we see the escape pod rocket towards him, and either he grabs on or it latches onto him, but it rockets off with him towards parts unknown. And you might ask, well, okay, he's still in space with no air and presumably freezing to death. How is he even going to get in the ship or survive wherever the ship is taking him? Well, your guess is as good as mine, and we will definitely find out in the next video as this one comes to a close. So yeah, that was basically issue 2 of Batman Off-World. What did you think about it? Now, one of the reasons why I love Elseworld stories like these, which I am 99.9% this is basically a what if and not canon, but what I love about these are you can really take the ideas anywhere and you are not held down by continuity. As let me tell you, as the story continues, it gets even crazier. But what are your thoughts on it? And if you have any questions, let me know all in the comments down below. Or if you enjoyed this video, leave a like or even subscribe to stay tuned for more videos by us here on the channel. As always, thank you for watching.